Hello, happy Wednesday. Welcome to Stamping A to Z, my weekly live that I have been doing for well over a year now. It was started during COVID and just meant to get people crafting and kind of de-stress, good creative outlet. It is kind of the what is it and how to of all things Stampin' Up. In the beginning, it was just showing you all the different tools, products, and how to use them and different ways to use them. And we've kind of morphed into anything and everything. Today we're going to be looking at ink lifting, which is a really fun technique. I had so much fun. I have more than my usual 3 cards today. But I'm just going to show you the techniques more than, and I'll show you the finished card, but it's more the technique, and hopefully you will have fun with that and just take it on and create all sorts of stuff. Like, sky's the limits with this one. So if you have any kind of ink, you can do it. It's helpful if you have the ink pads, just because you can get more ink on it. You can do it with the blending brushes, but you have to get a lot of ink on there. So I'll show you as we go. Just before that, though, I want to remind, what's today? We still have time for the July paper pumpkin. So if you subscribe before July 10th, you can get in on it. It's a sailing kind of theme this month, so that'll be fun. We're at the end of some of our sales, the buy one, get one half price of our kits. Don't miss out on those. I'm going to be holding a kit together class this summer. It doesn't matter what kit you have. It's just having fun and doing your kit together, and I'll be there if you need any help, but I can give you the basics. And then also our last chance items from the retired list from our January to June mini. These are the last few days. Both of the buy one, get one half price and last chance items are done as of the end of June, which we're getting there. Last day of school yesterday, although I don't think my kids did the last 2 days of school. They were done all their exams and found it kind of silly to, especially online, they weren't doing anything. So it's kind of lackluster when they're online because there's no like big hurrah, there's no fun stuff. But anyways, they're done, so that's good. Now we've got cleaning on our list to do, so I'm happy to have this to get through first and have some fun, and then to the yucky stuff. So I'm going to take this out and turn you around, and we'll get started since this is a bit of a long one. Let's get this out of here. Flip you around. Okay, and there's my store. I did forget to say that I am a demonstrator here in Canada, so you can shop with me if you're in Canada. If you are outside of Canada, you cannot shop with me, but you can certainly watch and play along and have fun. So I'm always happy to have people watching from anywhere. Let me know if you're watching, where you're watching from, if you're watching the replay. I'd love to hear from you. So don't mind my messy, this is a super messy one. Be warned. Have tissues, have baby wipes, have everything handy, which I'm grabbing right now because I know I'm going to need them. And then you also need, sorry, just trying to turn on my iPad so I can see if there's comments. You'll need some kind of spritzer. You can use alcohol and water depending on what ink medium you are using. So this does not have to be Stampin' Up per se. It can be any ink as long as it either reacts with water or with alcohol. So I'm going to show you some samples with our regular stamp pads, and these are water-based, so therefore I will use water with those to react. And I'm going to use our blends. You could also use your markers if you don't have the ink pad and you have markers. you can use those, and you'll see when I use the blends, just do the same technique with the markers, but use water instead of alcohol when I use the blends, and you can get the same effect. So there's lots of options if you don't have the ink pad, or you don't, you know, you can do it with markers, you can do it with blends, you can, I don't know, I'm sure you can come up with all sorts of fun ways to use this. So I've got my spritzers, I've got alcohol, and I've got water. So we're gonna start kind of basic. The most basic way to do this, if I can find where I put my paper. Okay, so I'm using, you can use the regular basic white cardstock, but depending on, especially for this one, you could use the regular one because you're not using that much water. But as soon as you start getting to some of the other techniques, you might want to use the heavier. This is thick basic white. I think it's thick. I think that's what it's called. It's thick white cardstock. So it just will absorb a bit more water than the basic white. I can't remember what, I think it's like 80 pounds and 100 pounds are the two differences, but don't quote me on that. I can't remember. So here I'm just going to take, I have some Parakeet Party, which is one of our new stamp pads, one of our new in colors. And I'm just going to squish it down here. So you can see I'm putting a lot more ink than if I was using a blending brush. I mean, you could almost need more ink. So if you have so watch. This technique must use up a whole lot of ink. Because I only used this once and we're already struggling. So here you can watch me re-ink, which I'll probably have to do on several. Then you want to take any kind of spoon. You take the back of the spoon and you just rub it in to kind of even it out. Especially if you're stamping, you don't want all those lines and unevenness. For this, it doesn't matter as much, but we'll just, and then just wipe off your spoon so you don't transfer the color into your next one when you do it. And then you're gonna go back again. Oh, there, now we're nice and juicy. You could do this with multiple colors. You could go in and kind of put some dark color and then come in with some lighter color or opposite with your blending brushes. I kept it kind of simple for now. So now we've got our background, our inked cardstock. So instead of using a Parakeet Party cardstock, I'm just using white cardstock and I'm inking it up. Oh, hi Mimi, I'm glad you're watching. All right, so I've got, this is a stamp, I don't know if you can see it. It's from our new mini catalog coming out July 1st. It's a bit Christmassy. I'm doing one with Christmas, one non-Christmas. I know, a little early, right? But I really liked the jingle and I thought it would work really well with this technique. So I've got the jingle stamp here. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm just gonna put my paper in here. I'm gonna put my magnet to hold it in place. And I'm gonna just step it down with my Stamparatus as I go. But even if you don't have a Stamparatus, you can do this with a stamp. The only thing with the Stamparatus is you can, if you don't get the look that you want the first time, you can go back and do it again, which you will see. So it's always nice to be able to go back in. So you don't want to hold your spray too close because you're going to get too much water. So my hand's going to be right up in the camera. And I actually found when I was holding it up, it kind of gets on my paper. So you might even want to take it out. Make sure you're spraying the right way. Put your water on and then put it down. And then I don't know if you can see that. It doesn't look like there's a lot there. I'm going to do it one more time. Before I go though, I'm going to just wipe this off because it does pick up some of the color, as you can see. And if I were to take my tool and dry it, you'll see it even more. You can see it coming out. So just remember when you're doing that it's going to lighten up as it dries. And you might want to, if like it's got lots of water around it, so just wipe up your excess water before you go and do it, because you just really want the jingle to be lifting. So there, now I've got a good print of that, and then I'm going to keep going down. Sprayed it the wrong way that time. Okay, and then I'm going to step one down and I'm going to go again. So for those of you who are demonstrators and you've seen the catalog, I actually cased this out of the catalog but just changed up the technique. They just stamped the jingle with some ink onto colored cardstock, and here I'm lifting the color off the cardstock. So there, I'm not going to go all the way down because I do have quite a few to show you and I don't want to take too long with each. I'm just going to dry it up a little bit so you can see. And actually, I don't even have to. I will show you my finished card so that you don't have to be waiting for me. It's slowly coming out. I probably would have done a couple more passes with the water on there if I wasn't under time. So here's the finished card. It's very similar to the catalog, but you can see it just has the jingle lifted with the water print. So that's a fun one that you can do with any stamp, any ink, any color. Just have fun with it. The next one I'm going to do, I'm going to lift it again, but this time I'm going to actually add color to it. So you're going to lift off some color and then you're going to add some color. So I've got, again, some new in colors. I've got Starry Sky and Sweet Sorbet. Oh, I grabbed the wrong one. It wasn't Sweet Sorbet. I used Flirty Flamingo. Anyways, I will start with the Starry Sky. So once again, oh my goodness, this ink to paper technique does take up a lot of ink, so be forewarned. Because I think, or maybe it was the Night of Navy I re-inked, but I thought I had re-inked, maybe not. And I hardly ever re-ink my ink pads, but now I have found a way to use up my ink. So make sure you have re-inkers if you are going to use your ink pads to do this, because you're going to use up the ink. So you want to make sure you have some re-inkers to be able to continue using. Ooh, now we're super juicy. The more ink you have, the more it'll show up. So that's just, it doesn't have to, I could probably also take a blender, like where it was dry, and take a blender pen and kind of fill in that, like here. I can take my blending brush here. So if you don't have that much ink, you can just come in and fill it in. But you don't have to. It can be, it's just kind of softening things up and giving you a different look. So there's no rules here. Hello, Yolande. This is kind of like your, I guess it's not, I don't know. It's kind of like jelly plating, only in a totally different medium. Where did I put I have a stamp. I couldn't find my Stamparatus. Okay, so now I've got my piece again. Now, when you use a big background stamp, this is the must have gone this way. This is the spiral die background stamp. So I can't really put my magnet down. So I'm going to just put a piece of washi tape to hold it, because I'm going to want to stamp it more than once. And I don't want it to move. And as usual, I have so many things out. Oh, there's my washi. It's always like right beside me, but I'm just not looking at it. Okay. So I don't need this extra. Oh, I had another piece of paper. Look at me. Okay, so I'm just gonna put it, actually I'm gonna put this piece of paper just so it soaks up some of the water. Put the magnet there. We'll put our piece of paper here. So then hopefully, actually, maybe I'll tape down this side as well. Just a little extra. Yeah. Okay, so we've got our paper down. We've got our stamp on. Now we just need our water. And it looks like my thing is dirty, but that's okay, because so I'm gonna spray this with water, and then I'm gonna come in I need to get one of those no, I've seen people with the pushy thing with the jelly plating and stuff. It'd be nice to have one for here instead of my fist. But and then we're gonna lift it up. So I don't know if you can see that, but it's starting to lift. And if I wipe this, you can see it's lifting off blue. So that means it's picking up that blue ink. So we'll just wipe off some of the blue so it can lift off more. And then I'm gonna spray it again. You like that tie-dye, hey? Yeah, this is a good one. It's been around, I think it was in last year's catalog as well, or maybe one of the minis, I can't remember, but it's in this year's annual catalog. Okay, so we're lifting up more. Now, twice is probably as much as you want to go without drying it in between. So you don't want it too wet. After all, it is just regular paper. I think watercolor paper, it's more forgiving, but it wouldn't work with this technique because it would just soak too far in, and it would be really hard to get the same. And I have to say, when I was testing this out, I was playing with just the regular basic white, and it also lifts way faster. You have to be a little more careful because the paper gets sopping wet, but I think it's a little bit easier than using this thick paper. So depending on how, if you care if your paper is curling or not, I mean, you can always glue it down so it straightens out and stuff. But see, you can see it's just kind of like that fuzzy background. I'm going to go, I would like to go one more time. I just don't want to take, because then I have to put the color down. We're going to add a color to it so it's not just blue and white. So maybe I'll just add it. Okay, I thought I had taken out the Sweet Sorbet, but that's not what I had used. I had used Flirty Flamingo, but I have that out for something else. Grab it. Here we go. So I've got my Flirty Flamingo, and I'm going to ink it up. But not only am I going to ink it up, I'm going to spray that as well to get a softer. This is the thick basic white, but you'll see my card samples, I used just basic white. So you can do it. You don't want to use watercolor paper or any of those because it'll soak in too much. It really, you soak the paper with the ink. And I don't know if you guys know, but if you So say you were to do this part and then you wanted a third color, you can pick it up. It's just, you know what, I'm gonna leave it on here for a sec and I'm just gonna, well, actually I don't have to dry it, I'll just show you the finished card. But you can actually flip it around 90 degrees and stamp it again. And then you get this, it's kind of just offset from each other. It was designed that way. So you could actually, and then you could lift another color and then add another color to it to really get a cool look. So if I had done it lifted a bit more color, it would show more, but it's gonna start showing more and more as it dries. So just remember that. It does lighten up as it's drying. So I'm gonna move this. So I don't know how well you can see it here. So you can see it really lightened up. And then I used the Sweetest Cherry set that is in the annual catalog. I really liked this sweet friend, and I just stamped it and cut it out. And then the cherries come with it's a bundle, a punch bundle. So you have the cherry punch. So that's a fun one. And you could use, there's the little van, the VW van, like kind of the flower power look in the He's All That. You could use that with the tie-dye. Lots of ways to use the tie-dye, but that was just my little sample. But you can see it's lightening up as it starts to dry. So that's just a really fun look compared to just your normal stamping. Okay, next is die cutting and ink lifting. So I don't need this. I do need these and the 30 from these ones. Okay, so this is, you know what, I'll use, this is just basic white. So this is the thinner one. It's a little glossy. Like, I always can tell the difference. Well, I mean, the thicker one is obviously thicker, but it also doesn't have that same sheen as the basic white. So I'll just show you with the basic white. So maybe, I don't know if you'll be able to see the difference or not. I'm going to start with my lighter color. This is Crushed Curry. And then we've got, just don't want to transfer all the ink onto my pad here. We've got Calypso Coral. And then I should have done this first. What was I thinking? I need more paper. Yeah, I'll just do it on here. So then I'm doing Flirty Flamingo in the middle. I'm just going to kind of up it a bit. Oopsie. That's okay. This is just a background, so I'm not too worried about. I can even make it go over the Calypso Coral since it's lighter. There we go. So we've got our ink all on there. And then we're going to die cut this. So there's two different things that we can do with this, and I don't think I used a big enough piece to do it all at once. Sorry, I'm just looking for all my pieces and parts. Okay, so for this one, we're going to use the Nature's Harvest. So that one has a whole pile of dies. It has these ones and it has these ones as well. So I'll show you one that I did with this, but I'll show you the same technique in another one as well. So I'm going to take just this simple little die here, and I'm going to die cut this flower. Oh, I should have had my mini mini one handy. It'd be so much better in the camera. Okay, planning just doesn't always turn out. So, and I'm just going to cut this out here. My table's still shaking like crazy, even though I'm back to normal. I'm back into my craft room, Yolande. I moved it all on the weekend. Okay, so now I've got this piece here, and I've got another piece of paper, and then I'm going to take my die cut machine again, and you can see I've be forewarned that when you're doing this, the ink is going to sink through, so either put extra paper. Obviously this is a very well used plate, so it just kind of sinks into all the cuts. So I've kind of kept it that one side is inky and the other side is cleanish. But yeah, I didn't mind though, because this is an old plate, so it's not the end of the world. Now I can't remember which way I did this. I'm pretty sure I sprayed it somewhere else and then brought it on. So I'm just going to spray my flower here directly. And then I'm going to put it down on here. And then we'll close it up. And I'm going to run it through my machine. I'll just do it off camera since it's easier than I'm going to roll it twice through just to make sure it gets a good, so you can see the color came right through. It was white before when we started. Well loved plate. Yes, my plates are well loved. Now if it's too stuck to pull it up, you can dry it a bit and then pull it up. So far so good. And then you can pull this, and then you've got a beautiful transfer of color onto your, so you could use this, and then you could use this that has a nice now kind of faded color with something else. Now, one step up from this is, I don't know if I have room on here to do it. Let's see if I do. I will show it to you. Should have room, but you know what? I'm going to do this with something else. I won't physically do this because you're going to see this with something else. So what I did was I stamped this one onto the same background again. So stamp it down. I using Versamark, and then I put clear embossing powder, heated it up, and then I did the same thing that we just did where I put it on a piece of white paper, sprayed it, put it on a piece of white paper, ran it through, and then you get this look. So you've got, it holds the ink in wherever there's the design, the stamp, and then the color lifts from around it. So you get the shape of the die, you get the colors, but then you kind of have that white background instead of the die. But then you could use this on a card as well. So you're kind of getting, you're using more ink, but you can get multiple, like I can do actually 2 or 3 prints with this. Go Willow. Sorry, someone's trying to get the dog out of here. And she's happy lying down. Come on, go see. Up you go. These dogs didn't want to get up today. They're being lazy. I think they know it's summertime. Okay, so that is the Nature's Harvest. So yeah, it's a nice soft look, and it just kind of is that distressed. Oh, Willow, go. Come on. Sorry. Up you go. always feel bad kicking them out of the craft room. They're so sad when I kick them out. But normally I do kick them out for lives. Okay, so I just said I was going to do I'll show you the embossed resist. So I'm going to show you with a different one here. So I took the Daisy Garden background stamp. So again, I'm going to use my Stamparatus, which is easier to use with the background stamps. Move all of these. Move this soaking. I should actually use paper towels, or I don't know. They should make like chamois paper or something, kind of like our cleaning chamois. Okay, Daisy Garden. This is the Daisy Garden stamp. And then we need a piece of paper again. So set that aside. Set this aside for a sec. I think I need another scrap piece of paper here. Oh my goodness. Oops. Okay, let's just use this. And then for colors, I'm gonna go with some purples here. This is the Orchid Oasis, the new in color, Gorgeous Grape and Highland Heather. So once again, I'm gonna do my stripes, but you know, I should have done like one with blended colors, but I didn't. I'll have to keep playing after this. No, I promised my youngest. They cleaned out their closets a while ago, and all his clothes that are too small are still sitting in his room, and he really wants it out of there. So I've got to go through them and give some to the neighbors. Okay, so then we've got this one looks a little dry. This is the Gorgeous Grape. Gorgeous Grape, sorry. I didn't use the Gorgeous Grape in my original one. I changed up the colors because I didn't love the color combo. So bear with me here. Get this all nice and juicy. Ready to go. Okay, here we go. So then you can kind of just there we go. I could put some more Orchid Oasis, but I won't. Okay, so we've got our colors down here. Don't lick the spoon. I don't know. It always looks tasty if you imagine. Maybe it's like those like a cool. What's the lickest? Oh, I can't think of what it's called. Okay, what was I doing? Oh yes. So you want to make sure that this is really dry if you're going to be embossing. Otherwise your powder will stick. So I'm going to give it some good heat here and try and get it dried up. Ideally, you would probably go do something else and let this go, like do a bunch of these different colors, whatever you're doing, and then come back to it in like 10-15 minutes just to make sure it's good and dry. These inks dry really fast, but putting down this much ink into the paper, it does take a bit longer. And you need it dry so your powder doesn't stick. Okay, so then I'm gonna pull out my, I can't find Now that I have my new one, I can't find my old embossing buddy, which is all dirty and colored. So now these colors are going on to my clean one. But you want to rub it to get rid of any static and maybe help if it's still a little bit moist. I'll just get rid of that. And we're going to take our Versamark and again, so I found there is, with this one, there is a spot right in the corner that you can hold down the paper and not get in the way. And then you're just gonna put the Versamark, and again, it's handy if you have a stamp apparatus or something that you can stamp multiple times, because if you don't get a good inking the first time, you can go back and do it again before putting your powder on. So we'll see. So I'm seeing some spots that are lacking in Versamark. So I'm gonna ink it up again. Really give it a press, and then I'm gonna leave it down while you always want to close your Versamark before you pull your powder out, because the powder just goes everywhere and gets everywhere. I love this brush that comes with the new embossing kit. So this is the new tray, the new embossing buddy, and the brush. So it's a bit stiffer, so you'll see when I brush off, and then the tool to not burn your fingers. That is in our new mini catalog that starts July 1st. So if you're needing some of these tools, they come in a pack. Okay, so then I'm gonna just take this, set this aside, and then we're just gonna put our powder on. See where to grab it. And I won't tap it till the end. Just I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but even though I'm flicking it into the tray, it goes all over. Okay, so we got pretty good. It's not really sticking anywhere, so I don't really need to use the brush. So I can't really show you how well it works. I used to just try and use a regular paintbrush, and it never really took off the powder. I always had to use my finger. So I really like that I don't have to use my finger on this. So then, if you don't want to, since I'm heating the whole thing and I don't want to burn my hands, I can use my tool. And I'm just gonna heat her up and make sure that your powder is all melted before you go on to the next step. I did do one of these where I realized the powder it was set, but it wasn't as set as I thought it was, because it did come off when I did the ink lift. So make sure that and you can see it wants to curl because I've used so much ink, let alone water. So it does curl a bit. Takes a little more to then put it down, but you could like dry them in books or whatever and get them nice and flat again once you start playing with the water. Just depends on how much time you have, how picky you are about how straight they are. Okay, it's looking pretty shiny everywhere. All right, I don't use it often, but I love this Daisy Garden stamp. It really kind of, all you have to do is add a sentiment to it. So now adding this ink technique just pops it a little bit more. Yeah, the new catalog is awesome. It was so hard to choose what to get. Okay, so then I've got, I will bring out my machine here so that you can have the, you can live the magic, because it is magic. All right, so we've got the colored side up. You can do this either way. You can put your white cardstock down first or on top, whatever works. It depends if your paper is too curly, you might want to put the paper down after, but here we got it pretty straight. We'll take our water again, and I'm going to give it a good spritzing. You don't want too much, but you don't want too little either. I mean, the more you do, the more it's going to transfer. And what I did find is you can actually do this more than once, depending how much color you have down. And you can get multiple prints out of one. So you're making like several cards with one go. So you can see it hasn't gone all the way through the paper. I might actually need more water. It probably went through the other side. We'll see. We'll see how this did. Now, like I said, if it's sticking too much, you can dry it a bit. Let's see if we can peel this apart. Here's the magic. So then you get a nice soft look with the white wherever the ink was held down. So now this pops even more. And then you could probably do it again, but this is super sopping wet right now, so I would let it dry a wee bit before doing it again. So I'll just show you the finished cards. And you do get sometimes, depending how much water you're using in ink, sometimes it gets all over, so make sure you wipe up your stuff. And then, so here's, this is the resist one I did. I must have, it was darker colors for one. Or maybe I put too much water. I don't know. Well, it comes out different every time. So this was my original, and then it did this one, and then this was my second pull. So it had a lot of ink in it going. So, and, oh, here's the difference. So this is using Whisper White regular, and you can tell it's quite curled. This is using the thick cardstock. So if you want the inks to really soak in, it makes more of a mess, but use the regular Whisper White. If you want a softer look, then you can use the thick, or maybe use the thick for this one, because then it's a little more, but then the ink soaks in and doesn't transfer as much. So I think that's what helped this one, was using the basic white ink. But, oh yeah. Putting in the silicone matte. I don't know. You might be able to if you kind of change the plate arrangement. You might have to take out, I'm not sure. You'd have to play with that. But yeah, the silicone would be nice to really push it down. So that's that one. I do have a fourth card, you guys, because I was having so much fun. Oh, no, I have 5. Oh my gosh. Okay. What time? I have no idea how long this has been so far. Let's see. Oh, it's not telling me. Oh well. Okay, well, if you want to watch it, you can. If not, watch it another time. Okay, I promised that I would show you with markers for those of you that don't have ink pads. So I'm going to use the blends. Because I'm using the blends, I'm going to spritz with alcohol instead of with water because these are alcohol based. If you're using our Stampin' Write markers, you would continue on with water. Okay, this is a really fun one. This is actually one of the first cards I made doing this because it just seemed like so much fun. So I've got dark real red here, and I'm just gonna come in and put my ink down. And you want to be generous with your ink. You don't want to be stingy, because like with the other one, and again, oh, this is I think this is basic white. I don't think it's the thick one. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, definitely with markers, I would use basic white, not the thick basic white, because you're going to need way too much ink out of your markers to do this. But I love to get things a different look and just like not just, I don't know, I always like to take things one step further. It's just more fun. I like to be different. This is dark flirty flamingo, and you can tell my tip is dying. Used it a little too much. I'm really sad that they don't have a lot of pink options in the blends. Like, I really wish they had Blushing Bride. I don't. I'm running out of ink in this one, so we'll see if we can do the whole thing. So not only am I using markers on this one, I'm going to use, you could use any stencil, like the plastic type stencils. We've got lots of really nice, and I probably should have changed it up to do this, but I wanted to show you our new masking paper. I was so excited when I did that masking. I'm just going to let it come back a little. I'll use the light one for now and then go over it with the dark. Just get a little bit of extra ink on here. It's funny how the light one has that much more of a kind of, I don't know if it's orangey or what you would call that, but it's definitely a different hue to it. There. Just needs some time to rejuvenate. Okay. Pushing out, yeah, extra content. Yeah, this is a free bonus. It's all free, so it's free. Okay, okay, so I am using another Christmas Christmas one. This is Sweet Candy Canes, and I had to have a set because of this die. I loved the diagonal stripe dies. It also has candy cane dies both ways, so you don't have to do the reverse die. It has a little what do you call it, label, and a real candy cane would fit through the holes, and then you've got your leaves. And there's a whole other set that goes with this suite. It's a two bundle set. This one, I only have the one to show you. So then I pre-die cut this. This is our masking paper that is new in the annual catalog. And so instead of using, so like I said, you could take any stencil and do this same technique where you could put it down and spray the outside of it and dab it, or you can spray the actual stencil and put it down and lift the color up that way. So then the lines would be lifted. So it just depends on the look that you're going for. I decided to use masking paper as my stencil. If you really liked this and you were doing more than one card, I would suggest cutting this out of window sheet. So then you have the plastic to use, because I don't think you'd want to do this with water. It works okay with alcohol because it dries quickly. But with water, I think it would just kind of fall apart. Sorry, I gotta sneeze. Anyways, okay, so it has a line down the center. Oh my goodness, my nose just feels like it wants to sneeze. And you just have to peel it, and then it's all sticky. So it's basically like a really large Post-it note. It's easy to peel, it's easy to put on, and it's easy to take off. It's not like a permanent thing or anything. And then I'm gonna follow my lines because I want it to be diagonal here. So, and the nice thing with it being bigger is it sticks down and it holds it. So then I'm gonna get my alcohol and I'm gonna get some tissue ready to soak it up. Although the alcohol really just kind of soaks in and does its thing. So I sprayed it quite a bit. You know, lift that color. And you can see the stencil is lifting up a little too. I'm just gonna dry it a wee bit so I can spray it again. I didn't dry my other ones. So I'm not sure how, like if the sticky-o stops sticking or how that's gonna work, but we'll just see. So dried it a little. We'll just try and stick it back down, whatever came up, and then we'll spray again. Okay, and lift. I'm gonna do like just a piece at a time and dab to lift as you go. Maybe it would, because otherwise, oops, it soaks in. So we'll see how this worked. It's all just trial and error and playing. For me, playing is the fun part. Do you guys like kind of inventing something new or just seeing if something's gonna work? That's probably like my favorite part of crafting, is just, I mean, sometimes it can be frustrating if it doesn't work. So here's our ta-da moment. Look at that. Woohoo! So fun. So you get that, the stripe and the stripe and the stripe. Cool, right? I don't know, can you guys see that? And if you dry it, so I didn't dry my last one before I lifted it, and it kind of was hard to peel and kind of broke everywhere. So drying it a little really helps. So obviously this is a one-time use kind of masking paper, but then you get this, and of course it's still quite wet. So the more it dries, the more that pattern will come through. And it's actually, I've been tempted sometimes to use the back side of things, because when the color comes through on the back, it looks pretty neat as well. Okay, so that's that one. And then I just used it in the background, and I cut out my candy canes. There's designer series paper that goes with it. So I just cut the candy canes out of that, so I didn't even stamp them. I figured my background was the star of the show. And then this is that little label I said you could stick a candy cane through, but I just stuck the ribbon through and did it that way. So there's your marker. So if you use blends, use alcohol. If you use the markers, use water. One more technique that was kind of, I tried, oh no, that was the first one I tried. And I wasn't sure I wanted to show it. And then I think I figured out I came up with variations to make it work. And I ended up with two variations that I haven't decided which I like best. So I'm going to use the Night of Navy, so really dark. You can, if you prefer to drag, so I'm just tapping it, but sometimes it works better if you want to drag it to get that ink on. Of course, I'm coloring my fingers at the same time. Okay, so that's Night of Navy. And then we are going to take an embossing folder. Yes, that's right, an embossing folder. And we're going to do the same ink lifting. Now, I tried both ways. I went this way and I went this way, because if you put it this way, then your trees pop up at you. If you put it the backwards way, so the Stampin' Up! Is always kind of your, tells you which way's up. So if I were to put it this way and do it this way, then my trees are going to be going in and the background is coming out. And I was kind of trying to figure where the water would lift. So when I first started, I put the water here and then I tried to wipe it with a tissue, hoping that the water would stay within the grooves and just lift kind of the tree impressions. I've got some samples here. So this is the upright way. I'm kind of ruining the surprise. This is the downward way. But I actually, I love the color that comes out on the back side. It's kind of like a little like misty moonlight that's no longer, but it has like the purpley blue, and I really like that. So I thought I might use it on that side. I haven't had time to actually make a card out of this one. But I just wanted to show you, so I'll show you quickly. And then I tried it with, this was Soft Succulent, and I did it this way. So it took off, wasn't being very even. So I actually think I prefer the reverse look, and I'm gonna do the reverse look again. So that means I'm gonna go on this side. Now, the one trick I did learn, because I wanted to run it through more than once, and so I had to keep like angling it and trying to get it back in the grooves the same way. So I did figure out that I'm just gonna tape the edges so it doesn't move, so I can run it through more than once and it'll be in the same spot. And then you don't want to spray the paper because then the whole thing will lift. You want to spray your embossing folder. And then I'm just going to get the plates ready here. So I need my, this is a 3D embossing folder, so I need my 3D plate and then just the base. So I've got that out. I'll move these out of the way. And then I'm just going to spray. Now, the more you spray, I think I decided you need more than one run. Like, don't just put a whole ton of water and be done. You want to do this slowly. So with multiple passes. So here, I'm going to put this here and run that through. And let's see what we got here. So you can see it's starting to kind of come through. but it didn't lift too much. So you want to wipe it in between because it will pick up the blue that did come off. So you can see there's quite a bit of blue coming up. And then you're going to spray it again. I'm run out of water. Okay, then I think I got some water on here. Put this down again. You always want to run it so that the folded side is first, otherwise you can break the spine. You're going to do that. It's partial camera view. You can tell I'm running it through. I'm not tricking you. The white, Whisper White pigment ink and get that look. But now that I'm doing it upside down, you're making me think here. If I were to put ink, so this would, no, because then my grooves will be white if I put the ink down. So yeah, you'd have to put the ink directly onto the paper doing it reverse. If you did it the other way, you could ink the background part and then the raised part would be darker. So it just depends on the look you're going for. So now I can see kind of what's saturated and what's not. So I'm going to focus spraying where it's kind of missing some water. And we'll go again. But we could try on one of the dry ones, we could try some. I did, actually I'll show you another one. I added some ink, so not white, but I did add a different color to one, and it kind of looks cool. So there. But I haven't dried it in between, so this is going to lighten up quite a bit. And it works better if you kind of take the time to dry it in between. Now, you don't want to dry too much on your embossing plate because you don't want to melt it, but I just want to make it so that I won't tear it when I pull off the tape. So you can see it's really lightening up as we dry it, and it'll lighten up more as get it more white. But I kind of like that. It looks like there's some snow. So even though this was the side that I was started with the ink, I think this would probably be my final side for the card. What do you guys think? I'll have to, so I didn't actually make a card with this one, so I'll post it when I post the pictures of the cards. Let me just pull out the cards quickly again so you can see all of them all at once. If I can find them, if they're not buried. Okay, so we had this one, these ones, this one, and this one. Okay, so we had the jingle. We had the spiral die. We had the die. And then we had the resist look. And then we had the blends. And then we had our embossing folder that isn't in a card yet. But those are, so yeah, lots of cards today. But like you saw, you can make multiple cards with one print. So you can just have so much fun playing with this. So hopefully you guys have some fun playing. And if you do make some, definitely post what you make in the comments or tag me. So yeah, that'd be awesome. I hope I have inspired you to go play. Hope you have a great rest of your week. We will see you guys hopefully next Wednesday, and take care. Happy summer. You're welcome, Yolanda. Take care. Bye.